We have the greatest passion. When I say we, I mean the people who care about this world, who care to make a difference in the world, who care to do things that are different from everyday people and are perceived different by everyday people. That is the very magic of creativity or innovation, but that type of innovation, that type of creativity may be seen as crazy by others, may be seen as maybe, we're energetic, maybe some are not as energetic as me or as other people. Maybe people have different ways of expressing it, but at the end of the day, what they're expressing is a passion for humanity. And maybe, it is because there are certain things within the world that are important. And so we have a passion that we feel naturally obligated to attract to. But maybe it's also because we have passions naturally within us as we grow old and as we understand morality for ourselves, that we start to understand that these other things are there and therefore can be treated with the passions that we have. May it be cooking, art, singing, right? Music, all that. That's all passion. And I'm proud to say that, I have always been wanting to be an inventor. I've always been wanting to be an inventor, right? When I was younger, I said, hey, I'm going to be an inventor, right? I said, I'm dreaming about things. I'm making my own board games. I'm making my own versions of everything. I'm merging them together and creating even new forms that I think are even better. That was my inventive mind. But you know what? You can carry that into adulthood no matter what you're doing and still create things for yourself. Still think for yourself despite everybody else thinking. Perhaps one way or another way, you can still think for yourself. You can still provide a new perspective, do something that's never been done before. And I'm not here to inspire you. I'm here to simply give you an example of what my passion is. And I can't help it because it's real passion. And that's what makes us different, the people who are truth seekers, compared to those people who are fake celebrities or the people on television who try to say they care about certain things and issues when everything they do is scripted or owned by somebody else. And they don't really know about what they're talking about. They don't talk about it in public. They don't talk about it in live streams or anything of the sort. And they're clouded on it. And then maybe they inform themselves through their pursuits, but at the heart of it, they don't have an underlying passion that drives them for their human life, toward their destiny, toward their extraterrestrial, afterlife per se, where their memory is essentially spread on for the generations to come, where every generation could say, well, hey, this is something that happened that was so important, such as the end of slavery in the 1800s. I mean, that was so important to me because this is something that has never been done for thousands of years. Same thing with the American Revolution, why so many people stress about it. But is that really that much of a big deal when there's so many other revolutions throughout history? What makes the biggest deal is the fact that they introduced natural law and natural rights, which is what I talk about on my channel. And that big deal is what I focus on, which is why it's such a big deal for me as a passion, why I share it with other people and get them knowing exactly what that is definitively. So passion is really important, and we do have to differentiate that from importance, because something could be important but you're not necessarily passionate about it. You're like, well, I kind of have to do it. You don't really want to address certain things like slavery, but you feel like you have to, so you grow passionate in your pursuit of freeing slaves because you see how beneficial it is or how necessary it is, right? And I want to stress the fact that there is always hope. A lot of people think that there is no hope. Well, that feeds into the slave dynamic. You're always going to be a slave so long as you do not see that there's hope for you not to be a slave. Same thing with your health. You have to hope that it's possible for you to heal yourself, otherwise you will not be healed. This is the dynamic where you have to input your willpower, your destiny, your passion into something that you want to be true, but something also that you know to be true, and therefore you're manifesting it. And by manifestation, I'm not saying you're just praying or hoping purely on hope. I'm saying that you are taking the necessary action steps, building the knowledge for those necessary action steps, so that way that desired outcome is manifest, real. Okay? Because when I say it is manifest, then you are manifesting it. It's becoming real. So Where do you find the greatest passion anyways? You find it in fulfillment. You find it in expression, right? So music is an expression. It's an art. It's an art form of expressing the voice, of expressing what ability you have. Only you have your voice. Only you can have your artistic abilities. That's an expression. Same thing with dancing. Dancing is huge. A lot of people I went to school with, I went to every dance thing, right? And at first, I didn't dance at all. I was the one that was shy observing. But then I realized this power of freedom, and I started to express more than anybody else before me and anywhere and after. Because, to be honest, I realized how important that expression of freedom is. If you want to be free, you have to express it. That's why I did a whole video on fun. Feel free to check that out if you want. But fun is an expression of freedom. It's a passion of freedom. That passion you're expressing on behalf of the freedom that you have, right? So you can't have passions without freedom, which is why it's so important that people understand what freedom is and manifest it in today's world. Otherwise, music and art and dancing, all those things are going to die inevitably, so long as people do not embrace freedom. And that embrace, again, requires knowledge, which again requires passion. So you acquire passion for what is necessary to acquire a passion. Isn't that interesting? But it's because it's all synchronicity with how the universe works. You gain your destiny based on this destiny of life. Everything's built around maintaining life and optimizing it if you have eyes to see it. If you have eyes to see the potential and the changes that can occur between the natures. So, I think about it all the time. I wrote these small things for this video where I'm talking about how we have the greatest passion, and I wrote these notes because I do think about it all the time. I think about it all the time, how, I've met some great people, I've had some great conversations, and how, this world has so much potential, but also the fact that passion is something that I didn't expect to run into and talk about all the things that I talk about on my channel. It's something that I question. It's like, how did I get here? How in the world did I get to this knowledge? How in the world did I get to sharing that knowledge and wanting to spotlight this particular thing? Right? A lot of people might say this about running for office. But is running for office purely uniquely your unique idea here upon the passions of what you see you must do for the world? No, it is one that you feel you're obligated to do based on the social structures of the world, which is often the very problem which we're in to begin with, that suppress the natural passions of the world. You have to find your natural passion, your natural destiny, your life. You can't be attracted to the unnatural things, whether it be greed, materialism, ego of the sorts, because it's just going to always inevitably lead to counterintuitive forms. Okay, and people learn this through time. This is why government is so counterintuitive simply by its nature. It says on my shirt, slaves by government and free by nature. There's a dynamic to understand, right? And there's polarities to understand, not just between right and wrong, but order and chaos. Between all the things that I just said, there's a polarity to each one of those. And the Hermetic principle of polarity goes into this. And many people don't want to admit, for example, that, politics, when they engage in politics, they're engaging in an occult ritual. An occult ritual. Occult means hidden. But a hidden ritual, a ritual that they're unaware of because they don't have the knowledge of what that ritual is, what it entails, and what it actually is contributing toward. And if you see that knowledge that other people don't see, you're going to feel like you're obligated to share it with others. You're going to gain a passion that says, oh my gosh, look at this obvious thing that's right in front of us that we're not paying attention to. And then you put it in art forms like presentations and trying to deliver in other ways so people can understand it better. And in that process, you're expressing yourself and making a voice for yourself. And that gains a passion, of course. Okay? But, of course, like I said, there is that difference between importance and passion that must be differentiated. See, the big idea that I have is change the world, right? I want to make a movement to change the world. That's the big idea that I have, that I'm giving to the generations after me in particular. And that is ending violence. It's empowering people, and I don't want them to be no longer zombified. I want them to think for themselves. These are big things, right? Which I aspire to. And aspiration is an inspiration. It's a passion. It's something that you look forward to, and therefore, if you think it's a possibility, then you're gonna have passion toward it. Now, some of us admit, like, hey, maybe it's not a possibility that humanity will ever be free, but are we still gonna try our best? Yeah, we should, because if we think that it's never a possibility, again, we're never gonna get to where we want to get. And how do you get there? Well, it relies on passion, because how do you change the world? You have to change the culture, you have to change the minds, which is affected by the culture, which is affected by the social fabric of society, which is, again, you should not feed into the unnatural forms, feeding into, okay, let's dance, let's have fun, let's have freedom, let's be what they don't want us to be because we're restricted to, because we're slaves. Okay, you have to express your freedom. That is an expression of your rights. At a certain point in time, you have to say, well, I'm going to do something that I know to be freedom by nature, and something that isn't, being a slave by government. There has to be a certain draw the line point where you say, I'm going to embrace nature as my government, God as my government, and that's it. No other government above me. That is a line that humanity is going to have to draw. And if you acknowledge that that's a line that they have to draw, how are you contributing toward it by just saying, well, eventually it'll happen, it takes time, it's a process, has to get there. It's like, what passion do you have? You don't have a passion. You see, I have a passion. I want to do it. I want to change the world. I want to create the truth. That is something that the truth doesn't matter. It doesn't wait on you. It relies on the now space. Things can change overnight. You ever see things like Twitter and Facebook, these social medias and technology, what it could do by sharing messages far and wide? It can change things in a matter of time so quickly that people underestimate the power of what change can do, what change is possible. And all it takes is just one influencer or one town, one community doing the things that I say must be done for change, because it's a requirement, right? And so it's another thing that those who don't understand this passion that we share, this passion of, and even if they disagree with us, if they don't understand why we have this passion, what's our intent behind sharing our message, then I don't think they really understand the message. Because to understand a message is to also understand its intent. If you understand the message enough, because you've put yourself in the other person's shoes, you understand things the way they understand things enough to say, well, then you could debunk them. It's important that you understand that I'm passionate, or other people are passionate, because we purely are, because we're expressing ourselves, because we understand that there's something really, really important happening in the world. So if you don't understand, well, it's because you probably don't understand and don't realize that we're making history and learning from it at the same time. We can do both, because a lot of people want to stay in the past. They want to say, America did this, America did that, let's go back to the Constitution, go back to this or that, and let's go with this ideology, Marxism, communism, republicanism, it's all these isms, right? All these ideologies, and none of it helps anybody, but they think it does, even though it just divides everybody more. And it doesn't make history. It's just looking back at history, looking back at the other philosophers, looking back at the other people who expressed their passions. But where's their own passion? Where's their own information? And if I look, it's like, well, you don't have any presentations of your own. You don't have any music of your own. And maybe you do. Do you connect it to what you think is important? Because it is kind of important. And some people say, well, celebrities got to stay out of politics. And, well, the thing is they're going to feel obligated to talk about it, right? So you can't really stop them from doing that. Then why should you stop them about doing it? Yes, they may not be the most credible sources. Duh. And some of them, I think, know that, but some of them are also on ego trips. So there's other things to look at there, okay? We can't just put blanket statements, but whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Anyways, the point is that you can see our passion through our videos. I mean, it's obvious. And that's something you can't see with other people. People are starting to realize that the mainstream media, they look at it and they're like, these people are dead, fake, reading teleprompters. They're not even human anymore. And what are we? We're natural human beings. And maybe we're a little bit off the end because of how unnatural our world is. So be it. Maybe that's natural to be because of the unnatural world. Do you ever think about that? Do you ever think that maybe, anarchism is extreme because we are in an extreme position now of totalitarianism control? But it's not really an extreme when you understand what freedom is. Do you ever give the incentive for those ideas, those worldviews to ever be true or possible because of the passion we share, the amount of effort, and the amount of times we say, do your own research and ask your questions, ask me questions, get on the show, call into the show, get on my live stream, write me a message on email, like all this stuff. Here's brochures, make your own. But no, right? Ignore all that, just address the ideologies or the isms that you're comfortable with and stick in your limited philosophy little box that you want to stay in, where you can trap people into it all day long for clickbait content or safety, security of your own slave mindset. I'm not about doing that. I'm about expressing myself to the fullest. And I am, and I'm not suppressing it. Like, I don't curse because I just naturally don't. Right? I'm not breaking guidelines on this platform because I just naturally don't. I'm still expressing myself. If I do, I go somewhere else. Big whoop. It's pretty darn simple. You be yourself. That's it. And you don't care what anybody says about you. I mean, you care a little bit, obviously, you always do, but you still be yourself regardless. And even if somebody does critique you, you're still yourself. You just improve upon yourself. Big whoop. You know, it's not really a hard thing to understand. And people will feel music, right? They'll listen to music and they feel it. They feel the emotions in it. And I would hope people feel that emotion when you watch Mark Passio, for example. I mean, I was there for his presentation, Fear of Sacrifice, in the Truth Movement. Fantastic presentation. Perhaps one of my most favorites by Mark Passio, other than his natural law seminar. And maybe it's because I was there in person, so I got to feel his energy. But my gosh, I thought it was really good. And very short, quick, to the point, where it's addressing the problem of action, which I've criticized independent media for a long time. And of course, I go a little deeper into different types of action that are practical in my sense, but it's really, really important as a presentation. He delivers his passion, his energy. To some people, it's a little offsetting. Even my own family, it's like, okay, well, the anger may be a bit too much, right? Even though we completely agree. And that anger could be because of reasons that aren't always good, okay? Because anger can be a bad thing, and I've talked about all this. But the point is that you understand there's a passion, there's an intent behind those words, and there's a passion and intent behind the presentation slides. Why would he put any of that together? And why would he put it out all for free? I mean, we're literally putting everything out for free. Everybody on the One Great Work Network, right? I know some people might be doing it for donations or whatever. I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. But I can speak for myself, and I think Mark Passio, because I know a bit about him, that we're doing it for free. We're doing it to educate the world, and that's pretty much it. And therefore, we have purpose in our life, and therefore, we feel like we're obligated to do things because of our passion. And that passion guides us just as much as our reason guides us when it comes to understanding the world in general. So, use those guiding mechanisms that you have from nature. Do not ignore them, do not suppress them, and understand their time and placement. Even more so, express your passion, because it's really, really important. Okay, and especially on the pursuit for the knowledge that you really care about. There's no reason why you can't merge your passions together, but see it as you see fit. Of course, if you want to create a bigger change, that is something that I am suggesting, because that's how we change the culture. But like I said, we put things out for free. We do translations. My gosh, universal. I mean, I had to set up translations on nita.one, right? I want people all around the world to get this knowledge. And it's timeless, too. It's timeless. I mean, how could you say that about any political knowledge or any political action? It's none of it's timeless. None of it has all the characteristics I just mentioned in this entire video. It's not even done out of passion. Most of the time, it's done out of manipulation or some sort of obligation that somebody doesn't want to do. It's like, oh, I'm running for office, but I don't really want to, but I feel like I have to. It's like, my gosh, why are you doing something that you don't want to do? It's like, okay, I don't want to have to deal with talking to people about slavery, but I'd much rather do that than put myself in a position where where I feel like everybody has to give me something. It's like, no, I'm not asking for you of anything. This is something that empowers you. I don't get anything out of it. It helps you. And so, and people maybe can give donations and help me out and stuff time to time. Great. Of course, that's just human character. That's natural people getting together, socializing. Fantastic. Right? That's going to happen. But yeah, it's just amazing when you see the passion versus when you see the fakery. And I think that's becoming clearer to people, at least for the people who are getting clearer, by using their own human nature to not lose it. But the people who aren't using their human nature are losing it, and things are becoming less clear to them. And maybe it's because there's less clarity within their own body. Maybe there's less clarity within their own soul at the end of the day. And it's just impacting then their passions, their health, and everything else, right? And of course, you can talk so much about that, but everybody has their own angles of addressing these ideas. And because there's so many problems in the world, now is the best time to really find your passion, not to be depressed and full of anxiety and, oh my gosh, the world's gonna die and explode. And no, it's like, you can change things, even if it's your own mind, even if it's experimenting with your own mind, or just sharing it with other people and just changing one person's mind. That's enough than zero. It's more than zero. And it's better than running for office where you're still changing no minds because you're not educating anybody. You're saying, I am the one who is the educator, but I get to dictate it in front of everybody and not teach them. I have to impose my will. Like, that's not education. Political action is totally different from moral action. A moral action always wins. So, importance, passion, merge, right? Your passion, importance, merge. You, nature, merge. You, me, merge. That's what we have to do. And that is what I see will create the most spark in passion and the most expression in freedom. Thank you very much for watching. This is Corey Edmund Engelot. Nature is the answer.